Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Take It to the House. I'm Caleb. I'm with Thatcher and Zach, and we back for another episode.
Man, finally makes an episode for once.
Misses one episode. Except you missed half an episode, so
Bye.
you're halfway there. Oh, what do you feel like? What do you guys feel like? Do we, Caleb? Would you rather get your horrible
Let's get
game
it out
out
the
of the
way.
way?
Let's get
Get
it
it
out the
out of
way. Let's get it out
the.
the way. This one was tough. This one was tough. Shout out to Josh Johnson. He did all he could, but which was literally nothing. But
Tough.
he shout out to him. I just gotta get this out there. I'm one of the fans who was screaming and, bitching about it last night, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome. People need to let that Devontae Smith catch go
Oh yeah.
because it wouldn't have changed the outcome. You take that off the scoreboard, it's 24-7 still. And
Yeah.
so, but who knows, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, if that Devontae Smith catch doesn't happen, right, then we don't get into the Purdy injury because then that's a different drive and the whole thing, like different things could happen. And so still, Shanahan should have thrown the challenge flag as soon as he saw him going, hurry up. He should have thrown it, but
It's better to take a risk than
not to be
lose.
wrong.
Right.
It's better to be wrong. Like,
Trying
Yeah,
to
and like
take a
and
risk.
like and like a great example of this is also yesterday with Andy Reid throwing a challenge flag on what I thought Kadarius Toney was a touchdown, but it really wasn't. So that is a risk you gotta take with a coach. I mean, I get you guys use all your timeouts in like the first quarter, but like that's a risk you gotta take. Like if you want
I mean,
an
you're one
advantage.
game away from the Super Bowl. Like, I
you got
don't
to
know
take
what more
chances.
risks, like
Exactly.
when the time is for more risks. I mean, did Shanahan even use a challenge after that? I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
So what? I mean, I do think that it was definitely well. Okay, first of all, though, I do want to credit Devontae because that was even though he may not have kept contact or like kept control while he got to the ground,
It was
that was
still
that was
incredible.
a sick catch.
It was incredible.
He's
That's some
he's
that's some OBJ shit right there.
yeah, he's a really good player.
Prime OBJ. OBJ
Oh
couldn't do
yeah.
that now.
Yeah, no. Um,
But Philly, I feel like that game was just more of a ground game for Philly. Like they had 4 rushing touchdowns, broke a record against the Yellow Jackets, who I didn't even know were a thing until yesterday. But 4 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns for Miles Sanders, one for Boston Scott, one for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has 15 touchdowns in the year, which is a new record, I believe, is what I saw. But yeah, I mean, injuries did hurt the 49ers. Purdy getting injured in the first drive, only being 4 for 4,
Then
23
Josh
yards.
Johnson with a concussion.
Josh Johnson with a concussion, losing a fumble on the snap. 7 for 13, 74 yards, was also sacked twice.
Are we
But
just not? Are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about the fact that our defense shot us in the foot with penalties?
yeah, that too. Like defense
that's what
caused all.
was, and that was so
There were.
surprising to me because they've been so locked in all year, and then the one game
Yeah,
that
and they're like
really
they're like the
matters, you
least
shoot yourself
they're
in the
like the
foot.
least penalized team this year.
It's almost like D'Amico tried to like. I'm kidding, but it's almost like he wanted to get out of San Francisco and become a head coach as fast as he could.
Well, because I mean, that's where we'll talk about it later, but I mean, he's gonna get a head coaching job.
Yeah.
So
By the way, did you guys see that the report came out that like they said that Vic Fangio agreed to terms with the Dolphins, but Vic Fangio has not made a decision whether to sign that or not?
which is then confusing. Why agree to terms if you're not ready to sign it?
Yeah.
The only thing that I have heard though is that Fangio, I believe, was on Sean Payton's list of his team that Sean would want to bring in. So I almost wonder if he is waiting to see if Sean will accept a job somewhere or get a job somewhere and then bring him with him. That's my only thought on that.
I was also thinking because I was like, obviously being a Niner fan and everything, I'm like, Vic Fangio would make a good replacement for D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah, but I think that I mean, would you rather go coach in Denver or in Miami right now? I mean,
Or
not in Denver, in I don't know. I think I'd rather
would you rather have the weapons on defense of San Francisco?
yeah, or the money in Miami though.
True.
you're not gonna be able to. The Niners. One thing that we got to talk about is the Niners are not gonna be able to keep all their players.
They have the 10th most cap space in the NFL right now, though.
Right, but
even with the increase, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
So, the Bears have $91 million, and that was before the increase.
Yeah, they're gonna have a lot. Should we? Let's get a little bit more into this game, even though Caleb doesn't want to.
No, I'm fine, bro. Like people,
yeah, it sucks, but
it's tough. Like it, bro. I don't know if I told you this, but I told Zach this. I was literally working last night. I cried in my car for 20 minutes, bro.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I'm passionate because let me explain it like this. I mean, yes, the Niners have had success. We have 5 Super Bowls. We have all this stuff like that. But in my time as a Niner fan, I have seen 4 championship losses and 2 Super Bowl losses, and I've never seen my team raise the Lombardi Trophy.
Right.
Zach's seen it. And then did the Saints do it in your lifetime? They did, didn't they?
Technically, they have, but I was still really, really young. So I wasn't as into the Saints back when they actually won it. I was like 6. But technically, yes. But coming from a Saints fan perspective, I understand your pain in the sense that there were so many years where the Saints were really, really good, and they were kind of almost like the Bills, where it's like they're really, really good. A lot of people said they should be Super Bowl favorites, and they never made it or never did it.
The thing with the Niners is that we're always like we've been good these last 4 years, right? I mean, other than like 2020, but we've been good. We've made it to the 3 out of the last 4 NFC Championship games. We've only won 1 of them.
And you didn't even win the Super Bowl that year.
No, because you know who the favorite was to win the Super Bowl that year? Kansas City.
Yeah, and they won it.
And then the favorites to win the Super Bowl when we played the Ravens were the Ravens.
Which is so interesting.
But that was a closer game, though. That was like a 3-point game, though.
Well, it wasn't at first.
No, even a 1-score game out of the way. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that was still a 1-score game. And I get you have Kaepernick, but that was when Kaepernick was really good with the Niners. I mean, like
that was his rookie season, wasn't it?
I thought it was his second year.
Because
I don't think he beat Alex Smith out of the job in his rookie year.
No, and they traded Alex Smith midway through the year to the Chiefs.
Well, no, he was still on the team.
He was there, but he got
for the
injured.
Super Bowl. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so then Kaepernick took his spot.
But still, no, I totally get it, and you totally. I mean, I still think that you have to look at that and think. For me, even without a Purdy or without even a quarterback in the end, the Eagles are really, really good.
But if we had a guy like, let me see, I don't know. I was saying this yesterday during the game. I was telling myself, man, I really miss Jimmy G right now.
Right,
like Jimmy could have won us that game.
He's just over there smiling on the fucking sidelines.
I know,
like
and it's
bum.
like
that's just ridiculous.
And Kittle even looked at him like, what are you smiling about?
Yeah,
like Kittle was looking at him.
Do I think though, if Jimmy was fully healthy and he played that game, they win? I don't know. Is it closer? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a 1-score game and goes down to the wire like the Bengals game? Yeah. I don't know necessarily. Yeah, he wins them the game, but he definitely makes it closer. But still, man, I think we're still. It's scary how good Philly is, and they're still like their core is very young.
Yeah, but but Sanders is a free agent this offseason, isn't he?
Yeah, but I bet they'll re-sign him.
They will, but they're also losing 5 guys on their defensive line.
Well, Fletcher, you can't say losing.
Well, like they're in free agency.
Right.
And so the guys that I looked at on the main guys on Philly's roster that I looked at for like free agents, CJ Gardner-Johnson's going to want a big contract.
For those listening, Thatcher just flipped off his camera because he hated CJ Gardner-Johnson because he was on the Saints last year.
And then James Bradbury's a free agent.
Yeah, dude, CD was like one of, if not my favorite player, for the Saints, and CD Deuce, Gardner-Johnson, and then he came out like a week before they played the Saints, and he was like talking mad shit on the Saints and like the whole organization. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, the only reason that he left NOLA is because the Saints didn't want to pay him top safety money, because guess what? He's not a top safety. Like, he's good, but I would not say he's a top 5, top 10 safety in the league.
I mean,
Did
look
he
at the
lead
bright
the
side.
league in interceptions?
That
I
was
still just-
4-way tie.
And I still just don't. But like, you're sitting down as a GM. Would you pay him top 5 safety money?
I'd pay him top 10, not top 5.
Yeah, because I think he
I mean-
was wanting that elite tier.
But
Look
do
at
you
the
think
bright-
he tries to get a team to give him the elite tier and leave the Eagles and go maybe see if a team will pay him that top dollar?
I think if they win the Super Bowl, yeah. Because at that point you've won a Super Bowl, so now go chase money.
Exactly. Zach,
I mean,
go ahead.
2 things. One, look at the bright side, Thatcher. You got the Honey Badger and Marcus May now. Veteran of the game, playing for Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah.
He's got a ring.
I would rather if you were offering me today our old core or the new core, I would rather have Marcus Williams and CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Oh yeah, but they're both really good.
Right.
Second
Isn't
thing
Marcus
is
Williams on the Ravens?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Second thing is, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl and they want to re-sign CJ Gardner-Johnson, do they even have the damn cap space to do that? No.
I
Well,
don't
no,
believe
and
so.
he's not going to be their priority signing.
Miles Sanders is their priority, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah, and the other thing is AJ Brown's taking up much of that cap space, but you got Jalen on a rookie contract, you got Devontae Smith on a rookie contract. So
And here's the thing: is you're gonna have to pay Jalen Hurts that money at some point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, and let's not forget, boys, they do have a top 5 draft pick, courtesy of the New Orleans Saints.
And also, so I have this theory that it's been announced that Jason Kelsey is retiring after this season. That's what he said. Basically, no matter win or lose, he's retiring. And if CJ Gardner-Johnson leaves and James Bradbury, which are 2 of their like elite corners, if they both leave, right, then Philly has a lot of options here. They could look to get a cheaper guy in free agency. They could look to get somebody in the draft, maybe a Joey Porter, maybe a Clark Phillips, maybe somebody like that. But the thing that Philly fans need to be wary of and need to because I mean, yeah, the secondary, like all this stuff, right? Like the secondary is like extremely important. Where is it? Philly free agents 2023. No, not the Phillies. Oh. But I saw it. Like they have 5 guys on their defensive line who are entering free agency right now. Ndamukong Suh, Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Robert Quinn.
I think that you resign, if you can, you resign 3 of the 5, if not 2, because 3. I think 3 should be your aim. There's no way you're keeping all 5, and you're not going to keep 4 of the 5.
No.
So,
and you have an emerging guy in what's his face right now, Jalen.
The guy from Georgia.
Yes. Jordan
Davis.
No, Jordan Davis. Thank you. I know it started with a J.
Yeah. I think that you re-sign 3 of those, and then because the thing is Super Bowl teams always get picked apart in free agency or in the offseason, always. So
look at the damn Rams, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I think look at both teams though to be shaken up, because I was talking with who was I talking to? I was talking to you, Zach, about how we talked about this last week. Pat Mahomes' contract comes into play next season.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs, are going to have to cut ties with a lot of players because they're paying Patrick Mahomes. And they already have a lot of players on that are about to be free agents.
Yeah.
So, well, let's move on. That's kind of our thoughts. Go ahead.
Just one last thing. You said the Chiefs have a lot of free agents, right? Orlando Brown Jr., which is a big one on the offensive line. Juju Smith-Schuster, Carlos Dunlap, Ronald Jones, Jerick McKinnon, McCole Hardman, Juan Thornhill.
Thornhill's been hurt though this whole year.
Yeah. Deion Bush, Tommy Townsend.
Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle though. But hey, they're in the Super Bowl, so okay. Bengals Chiefs. Now the funny thing is,
oh my god,
this one hurt.
I didn't get to watch the game, so
yeah,
horrible, goddamn reffing
That's something else we need to talk about is horrible officiating in the NFL.
I mean, it was on prime display last night.
Yeah, and like I watched the whole game. Thatcher watched the whole game. Like so many BS calls. Some of the BS not called. Roughing the passer on Joe Burrow on like their second to last drive
I think one of the worst calls though was that PI that was called
on Mike Hilton.
Mike Hilton. That was horrible.
And I played the corner position, not PI. I've never been called for that shit. Like that's clean defense. You're not interfering. You're putting his hand on your shoulder and diving. Like, dude, that's just defense.
Dude,
like I don't understand how to PI. Like, sure, your arms are blocked, but at the same time, he's in front of him.
I mean, I know that this is college football, but Clark Phillips made that same exact play in the Pac-12 championship against USC, and it was not called.
Still the same rule.
Exactly.
Still the same rule.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just the refs were on the Chiefs side the whole damn game.
Yes, I agree. However, you have to look, when you look at in the big picture, the Bengals had a chance to go win the game. And they did win the game. And so that's what I have to look at is like both quarterbacks got a chance to go take their team down the field and win the game. Now, Joe was placed way farther back than Mahomes was. Joe was at the 15 the 7-yard line. So, I don't expect him to go all the way, but you look at Joe had little over 2 minutes, made a play, 2-minute warning, and then you go 3 and out after the 2-minute warning and give the ball back to Kansas City.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm bummed out because I'm like, Joe had his chance to go and win the game, and they gave it back to Patrick, and Patrick went and won the game.
Yeah, well, that's just also good defensive calling too. Like everybody expects a pass, especially when it's inside 2 minutes. Like,
which is funny because I probably would have run the ball a couple times.
Oh, here's the other thing too: is that both teams' run games were non-existent. Like literally, Cincinnati's leading rusher was Joe Burrow with 30 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, 10 carries, 26 yards. This is an air raid game. Like seriously, like Joe Burrow 26 for 41, 270 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. 1 INT wasn't on his fault.
That was a good play. The one that got batted and caught.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's perfect ball placement. That's just covered really well.
That right? I believe that was right after the whole Jamar
whole scramble.
Was it T or Jamar that got hit right in the head with the ball because he didn't catch it and Joe threw it literally perfect accuracy?
No, you're right. That was Jamar.
Yeah, that was right after that play.
Jamar was out of position too, but and then you got the other side with Mahomes, who had a clean game, like 29 for 43, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns. One of them was actually not Travis. Like one of them was Travis Kelce, but not both of them, like last week.
Yeah,
but I think I think MVS had really probably the best game of being on the Chiefs.
Well, and honest. I think one of the biggest plays of the game was that that I know that they ended up punting, right? Because they went backwards, but that Pacheco run where he broke like 3 tackles and still got
off of 3 dudes at the same time.
Okay, I have to say he's really good though.
He's small.
Really good though.
He's so small. I don't get how you do that.
Darren Sproles.
Yeah.
Look at Darren Sproles, man. I think that they're going to be happy. Well, CEH only has a year or 2 left technically on this contract?
I think they trade him.
If you can, or you cut him. I mean, what team right now is that needy that they would give up draft capital for CEH?
Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but do you need to trade away stuff for CEH when you have ETN? They would be a good one too.
Who's the second guy?
It's not Agnew.
It's Hasty.
Yeah, it's Hasty. Michael. Nah, they don't need him. They don't need him.
Yeah, I do think though that the CEH's time in Buffalo is gone, which really bums me out. Casey really bums me out because he was really fun to watch on that LSU team, but I think his draft stock got elevated because he was on that LSU team. that was like arguably the greatest college football team of all time.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire running back with Joe Burrow. What you up to?
But they don't need him. Joe Mixon is.
I know.
I mean, I would argue
they're losing. They're losing Samaje Perine though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I doubt they extend him because he's just too old.
They're also heading into free agency. Jesse Bates is a free agent.
Yeah,
They'll
they
resign
need him back. They'll need him back.
Resign.
Um,
Bengals have a good amount of cap space. They're not in cap hell. So,
what do you guys think about that late penalty that led to a winning field goal?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple things. My thoughts are, yes, that really put the nail in the coffin, because also when you look at how the field goal ended up, like he only had maybe 5 extra yards on that kick. So if they don't get that 15, I don't think he makes that field goal.
No.
But also it's in the heat of the moment.
You still also had one time out too.
Osai had such a good game before that. Like I don't think that you can walk away and be like, that's your fault. No. Now, in the end, was that penalty his fault? Yes. But was the whole reason they lost the game his fault? And it made me really sad to see. The worst part was after the game, and they're like doing all the pans of like the Chiefs celebrating, and then they pan to him like crying on the bench. I'm like, oh, hate that.
Do you guys also see that when the Bengals were headed to the locker room afterward, one of the players was like, "This was
why'd you got to touch the quarterback?
This is my last fucking year. Why did you have to touch the quarterback?"
Yeah, I was literally about to bring that up too.
I think that's garbage.
Yeah. Jermaine Pratt, by the way, was that player. Really, really veteran. He's a really good player, but like, why shit on the second-year player for a simple mistake?
The second-year player who's playing his ass off, by the way.
Yeah, like he had the best game on their whole defense, other than Mike Hilton. Like, I don't know what else I could say. Like, you just can't say that. I get you won a Super Bowl and you're freaking hungry for that and want to get a ring, but like, you can't say that shit.
Yeah, and Micah Parsons actually commented on it and said that this is some bullshit.
Yeah, so did Darius Slay.
Yeah, it's so bad.
But anyway, I was literally about to bring this up because there's an article that just got released as we're recording this saying that he regrets his reaction to Joseph Ossai and saying, I was in the moment, I was wrong. I would say I was wrong. As a man, you can look yourself in the mirror and I say I was wrong. I wasn't a great teammate in that moment. That doesn't define me as a man. It's the reaction that anybody that has that's a competitor. You know what? That was stake in the moment. I love this game, no doubt about it. But if you love the game, like when you're talking about this game, your team is your brothers. You guys are family. You guys work as one. So I don't know. I think the only reason why Jermaine Pratt really responded to this is because of all the stuff that was, the hate, all the comments by fans, all the comments by players, like, and that's
you just can't do that.
You just can't, like, especially if it's gonna go viral and you see this stuff and it's wrong. Like, and it hurts your like reputation as a player. But yeah, like after like when Ossai was being interviewed, BJ Hill was sitting next to him the whole time, and
that's I love to see that.
Actually, no, he's a rookie. Actually, Ossai's a rookie, isn't he?
I think I want to say
playing in his
second year though.
I know. You know what? He was hurt because this is his first like full season playing. But yeah, I don't know.
You can't do that, and I understand that maybe in the heat of the moment, but then look at Ossai's play. The play that caused the penalty was in the heat of the moment too. So
yeah, like you can't tell where silent is because you're chasing a guy.
Right, and it sucks. It's just a crappy situation overall, and I think that hopefully they get it resolved. I think that the Bengals should still be favorites to go to the AFC Championship next year.
Yeah, do you get rid of Jermaine Pratt?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that you put the two in a room and say figure your shit out.
Or you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb, I have a quick question for you. Going back to San Fran and Philly.
I was just about to go back to that, but what's up?
Since you guys have made last 3 out of the 4 championship games, you've lost 4 with Shanahan, 1-1.
That math isn't mathing. We've lost 2 of them and we've won 1 of them.
Okay, Mr. 49er
That math
fan.
isn't mathing.
Do you move on from Shanahan
No.
if you got?
No.
Can you let
No.
me fucking finish? Jesus fuck. Seriously. Do you move on from Shanahan next year if you make it to the championship and lose?
No. Shanahan, I'm going to say this. Shanahan and Lynch have revitalized the San Francisco, like the team. They have absolutely made this team great. Like they have the pieces. They have the pieces to win a Super Bowl. The thing that I'm always worried about when it comes to big games with Kyle, though, is he's too conservative. Like he always decides, like, he's like, oh, like if we have a Super Bowl, example, Super Bowl 2010, 20-10, let's run the football and run the clock out. And then when the run game isn't working or the pass game isn't working and you can't get first downs, you can't let the clock run, you can't do all this stuff, you turn the ball over, you punt, then that gives the other team the opportunity to score when your defense, if your defense can't stop it. And so, but no, I think the Niners have found like their franchise head coach right now in Shanahan. And I mean, because, you know, the Niners went from, I try to forget this, but we had Chip Kelly and we were awful. We were awful.
And the fact you guys had CJ Burton and all those players.
We were awful. We did not have a good team. And so, you know, to go from being bottom of the pack, basically, to being in the NFC Championship 3 out of the last 4 years, Shanahan has really turned this team around, man. And last year, by the way, he made it to the NFC Championship game. We lost by 3, and we were 11 players down. Fun fact.
And one play away from pretty much sealing the deal, and he dropped the pick.
If Tart doesn't drop that, we win. And so no, I don't think the Niners are going to move on from Shanahan. And plus, he just signed a 6-year extension like 2 years ago. So,
I think you keep Shanahan as long as Shanahan wants to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless shit goes down, obviously, then that's a whole different story.
Yeah, unless like some random stuff.
I also with the front office stuff, I think we're going to hold on to Adam Peters, who's our assistant GM right now. I think we're going to promote Lynch to a different position, and then we're going to move Adam Peters to GM. That's what I think we're going to do.
Saying we as you're on the team.
Bro.
Yeah, you give me this shit too, Caleb. I got you back, bitch.
Well, who gave it to us? Who gave us that first? Thatcher.
Don't ever say we when you're referring to a team that you cheer for.
Shout out to
Bill Riley. Yeah.
Exactly. And so
yeah, no, just kind of going on that. I mean, I think that there's only, I would argue, maybe only one team that wouldn't take Kyle Shanahan as their coach, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think maybe but I'm telling you, every other team, probably not the Eagles either.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like Sirianni,
he
turned around this year.
I mean, maybe, you know, like New York says no because they got a good thing rolling with Dable. But, like, I think almost any other team would take him. So I think that you keep him as long as he wants to be there.
I agree.
I also an article just came out. By the way, I was meaning to bring this up. But an article just came out after the game against the Eagles yesterday. An anonymous 49ers player said, I felt like once Purdy got hurt, someone at the league called down and said, make sure the Eagles get to the Super Bowl and not them.
That's stupid. I'm sorry. That's stupid.
And
dude, you're down to your 4th string quarterback against the number 1 team in the NFC. I'm sorry. That's a stupid accusation, bro.
But here's the thing, though. Would you want Josh Johnson in the Super Bowl?
No, but I think that Purdy would be fit by then. I mean, he was fit enough to be walking around after. So I think that I'm sorry. I'm not buying that.
He couldn't feel the nerds in his hand, apparently.
Yeah.
This is what Bradshaw was saying.
This just came in. Brock Purdy has suffered a torn UCL that will sideline him for 6 months per source. So he's going to be probably recovering for the whole offseason, basically.
Yep.
Okay, well,
So-
maybe it would have been Jimmy G then if he made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And also, the Josh Johnson story would have been cool too. Like, if you think about it, like, do I want him in a Super Bowl? No. But the story of a fourth string quarterback playing in a Super Bowl. I mean, and look at his career is insane. The amount of teams that he's been on and the way that
13.
he's got
13.
right. So I'm not buying that for a second. I mean, the Eagles were. I think I picked the Eagles beforehand because I think that the Eagles were the better team, anyways. Purdy fully
1
healthy.
and 2.
Both rosters fully healthy. I like the Eagles, anyways. But I don't know. I think that people get desperate after they lose. I'm sorry, like, and that's no shot at the 49ers in general. I think in general, I mean, it's just desperation, and I don't like, and then I don't like all the Twitter stuff going on afterwards. I'm like the thing that you sent us with who was it? Thibodeau and Warner. Was it Thibodeau and Warner
Yeah.
or Thibodeau and Armstead?
No, it's Thibodeau and Armstead.
And I'm just like, dude, you guys both lost. Shut up. Like,
They're both Oregon boys though too. So
yeah, but I'm just like, I'm sorry, but like, you both lost. What does it matter? Like,
and then also, did you see Kayvon? By the way, this is where I got mad at Kayvon last night. He went after Joe Staley. You don't, and he said he doesn't even know who he is. Joe Staley, one of the best left tackles of all time? Not Joe Staley? Oh my God. This dude, swear to God, Kayvon is he's just a drama queen. He just tries to start shit. And
Yeah,
I can't
but
stand it. I personally can't stand him.
but I think that everybody else who responds to that only feeds into it. Like, I've always believed that the person who's going to start stuff like that and stir the pot, you only give them satisfaction if you give in and like start talking back with them. That's when they like it. So I just think that, I don't know. I think overall I do think that regardless of the refereeing and the officiating in the Bengals game, I still think that, listen, we got the two best teams in the Super Bowl. I would argue these are the two best teams. I still feel like maybe Buffalo or Cincinnati have the better overall roster, but two best teams. And shout out to the fact that this is the first Super Bowl in the history to have two African American quarterbacks. So I think that's
Which is
pretty
crazy
awesome.
to think.
That is really crazy to think. But think about how many white quarterbacks in the NFL that there have been.
Yeah.
You know, name it the top 5 quarterbacks. Many people will argue are all white. So
Montana, Marino, not Marino. Marino's 5 at best. Brady, Manning, obviously Marino.
Both Mannings.
Both Mannings. We're gonna put Eli up there too.
There's another name that you guys are missing.
He beat Tom Brady twice.
There's another name that you guys are both missing.
Thomas Edward Brady III.
Said
No,
Brady.
there's still another name
Breeze.
that you're missing.
Breeze.
Yeah. Breeze is a top 5 quarterback ever, all time. Sorry, but so anyways, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll come back, talk about a little bit of some other news involving coaching and maybe our thoughts on like the Pro Bowl and stuff. So we will be right back.